Hello and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to introduce to you now. Justin Frandson is an athleticism performance coach that has worked with amateur and professional athletes for the past 2 decades. Over time, he observed his athletes breaking down from the excessive levels of EMF from their smartwatches, wireless earbuds, and electric cars. This realization has led him to test EMF levels in thousands of clients of his homes. Today, he produces grounding bags and Faraday bags, available at doctors' clinics throughout the country. The grounding bags are hand-mined crystals with moisture and magnetic properties to ground and repel EMF, all for a deeper night's sleep, better recovery, and improved health. Justin is the owner of the Athleticism brand. He is the author of the book, Athleticism, and he can be found at www.athleticism.com. Justin, what an honor it is to welcome you to Boundless Body Radio.
Casey Ruff, pleasure to be on with you and your audience.
Yeah, this is great. We have to start out the conversation making sure that both of us are okay. I guess we can commiserate after a very bad football weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
At the time of this recording, it was the weekend after USC lost to Stanford, which I couldn't believe, and my beloved Utes were felled by our rival, the BYU Cougars. So not a great not a great weekend for football.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I am super curious to talk to you today about some of your realizations. My wife and I just were able to get out for a quick walk, and we both, walk barefoot on the ground. And it was a transition that I made last year, and I resisted it, not because I knew I had to buy like minimalist shoes and change, the way I was doing things. But the biggest thing was getting rid of all the shoes that I already had. I knew I had to do that. And so I just resisted it for so long. And I feel like this EMF thing is a very similar situation where I would rather just crawl under the bed and, put the pillow over my head and not want to think about such an important topic that I don't know what to do about. So I'm curious to know how you came to some of the conclusions you did.
Yeah, we started just similar to how you are, working with lots of clients and seeing how they're responding to different things and just diving deeper into what the stressors are. And early on, I uncovered that there's 3 major categories of stressors. So you have physical. So if someone had too much trauma, too little, or not enough physical exercise, that's a stressor for the body. It downregulates the nervous system. Same with biochemical, which would be food, drink, air, and EMF. So if you have crappy food, your nerves aren't going to respond as well. You're not going to perform as well. And then EMF, that was part of that one, but it was probably the most missed one. Yeah. And then you have the mental, emotional thoughts, feelings, stress. So everyone had really jumped into the physical and the mental, emotional, and most of the biochemical, but they were really missing this EMF, and it was being sold as something that was like the next greatest thing. And, you got to drive electric cars and live in electric complexes and, make sure it's a Tesla because it's multiple batteries you're sitting on. The whole front dashboard's so electric, and the thing self-drives, which is all wireless or, radiation, man-made. And so we're just getting sold a bill of goods from an entire industry to promote this ease of use and technology as being something great. And there are tremendous advancements in it, and we're blessed to have it and live in this area. But we do really need to learn a proximity to it.
Very interesting. We've lost Coca-Cola and Cheerios as show sponsors. I never thought we'd lose Tesla as a show sponsor. That's really interesting. How long had you been working with athletes before this started to kind of enter your field of consciousness?
I've been doing it for over a couple decades, and the last decade is when I really started hitting my top of the list. And as the EMFs kept picking up, and my wife touts me as someone who's really can foresee a lot of the trends. And we had the first, in my book, I go over a lot of those different things, but I saw the first Bosu ball in our gym, and kettlebell I brought one of the first ones to Orange County. and in Southern California, and the list goes on and on. Tai Chi, breath work, meditation. I mean, I've been, pioneer in a lot of different, avenues, including gluten-free movement, which for over 31 years now. So is when I started it. So I've seen a lot of these elements starting to come into play early on, and this one was just the next one that I saw.
Interesting. So I'm really excited to deep dive into this, but before we do, why don't we kind of educate the listener? Can you tell us exactly what EMF is, where it comes from, and what kind of effects it has on us?
So definitely, we live in an electromagnetic universe. Casey, so everything in our universe has a resonance. It's all electric. So the sound that we're speaking from, and you're in Utah, I'm in California, the resonance of everything in our universe has this living collective tissue matrix that it's all interconnected, but it's all frequency related. And so guys that are more into just the bigger, faster, stronger, and there's not that a deeper awareness of grounding and earthing that you have, and we're raising this level of consciousness and just a simple education of how the universe works. What is biology? What are physics? What is waveform technology? And how are we so alike with the universe? So before I get into EMF stuff, we need to understand that we are one with the universe. We are all electromagnetic beings. And when there's a shift in our atmosphere, whether it's cosmic shift in waves or particles, or man-made shift in electrification of our universe, our bodies, our electromagnetic being of a body will be affected by it. And that's a lot of what we're seeing right now with the pandemic. And so it's really relevant topic, and something that I encourage everyone to dive into is understanding how we're made, how the universe is made, and how it's electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere that we're living in. And our mitochondria, our cells, everything has a resonance and energy in it. And I equate it really similar to this, Casey. It's like if you see a elderly person and they're about to transition and pass on, their cells, they're obviously mostly super pale because their cells communicate with light. Light is a resonance, it's energy. Okay. And when you see someone healthy and young and they're glowing, that's a resonance that they're emitting, and that means their cells are super healthy, and they have a lot of pliability. They're not stiff like a tree and ready to bend and break and die. So it's a simple analogy of that. But what at the end of it, at the root of it, EMF are electromagnetic fields or frequencies, and again, you can measure it in people and in the universe. The Schumann resonance of the earth is a healing pulse of the earth. Why you went grounding this morning and went barefoot, because it helps you feel better, but you're pulling those negative electrons. You're pulling the electrons from the negative, ionic charge of the earth. That's what's giving and feeding your body. And it's science just at its root cause.
I was just going to say, like, some of this can almost kind of sound a little bit woo-woo, but you're right. This is all very literal when you're speaking in these terms, correct?
Yes, thank you. It really is. And it's just not something that our world's focused on. We're not taught about how the universe is really connects with us. And there's guys that do lots of applied kinesiology testing, and one of their tests in their flowchart, if you're off, your REM pattern goes off if there's a cosmic shift in the atmosphere from waves or particles. I mean, we're so entrenched with the seasons, the cycles of the earth, and for us to turn our head to it and not really start to dive into it, we're just missing out on a lot of information that can help us, with a boundless body and give you better sleep and help you perform in the infinite flow of the universe and optimize your intake. I mean, these are things that we really need to look at. So I didn't want to get into all the EMF mumbo jumbo before we really articulated that. Now, so first off, Casey, I would say go get the book, The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. It's a fantastic book that everyone needs to see and read. And what they do is they talk about how the universe is made and how we won with it. They categorize all the pandemics in the history and directly correlate them with cosmic shifts or man-made shifts, whether it's introduction of radar or radio waves or satellites in the Van Allen belt, or before all that stuff was cosmic stuff. And we just, there's so much literature on it. Eileen McCusick is another prolific author with a couple fantastic best-selling books that she dives into more tuning forks with your body, because most of your health lies in your energy field outside of your body. Can you believe it? So your health lies in your chi, as Bruce Lipton would share. And so when we start to dive into the grounding bags and some of our stuff, there's detox or flushing protocols that you could do through tapping on to clear these energy fields. But this is simple stuff where we're understanding that resonance of the earth. And so to back it out a little more, our bodies rev when we're sleeping at 1 or below 1 to 8 waves per second. Okay, so when you're in a delta theta brainwave state, you're 1 or below 1 to 8 waves per second. When you're an athlete, when your guys are just in the flow, Casey, and they're just in rhythm, they're 8 to 12 hertz or waves per second. Remember, I was saying the Schumann resonance, the healing pulse of Earth, is 7.8 hertz or waves per second. We rev really low and slow and similar to the Earth. Then when we get into these man-made devices, your router, your cell phone is 2.45 billion waves per second. They're made in a one-directional waveform, or else they wouldn't work. So they're a positive charge, one-directional, and they're 10 zeros faster than how we sleep, rev, and optimize. So when we start to dive into the science of the difference of us and the universe, and now we're supposed to deal with all this man-made stuff, like you had 10 zeros to anyone's bank account. That's a big deal, right?
That's a huge difference. That's so interesting. I do want to talk about
that's what our body feels.
Wow. So before we talk about the man-made EMF, what about natural versions? I'm assuming, you mentioned like cosmic shifts. So I'm assuming that could be sun flares and things like that. Am I thinking along the right line there?
Right.
Are those just as dangerous to us as humans, or are we protected from them?
Again, that'll shift your REM pattern. So yes, we are going to have disrupted sleep or some patterns, or get into some holding patterns with cosmic shifts for sure. And that's what I was alluding to in the beginning. You'll see people adjust and we produce a virus ourselves. So viruses are dead proteins that we produce. You'll see people produce viruses themselves from cosmic shifts to upgrade their system to be able to live in that new environment. These are our adaptive systems. Viruses, fungus, bacteria are adaptive systems. Our body has these amazing intricacies of how it connects with the universe to adapt to these. Tom Cowan, MD, C-O-W-A-N, Tom Cowan, MD, articulates this really well in addition to all these other brilliant minds. And he'll say it to something to the effect, like if you're studying dolphins, they all start getting sick. You're going to say, who polluted the water? Not, did that dolphin give that dolphin a virus? And the reason I keep harping on this is because it's such a big thing. These are environmental toxins, just like glyphosate in food from Roundup. This is an environmental toxin that our body's dealing with, and we're doing the best we can to adapt to. But these levels of electrification are massive. Now, even if it's a cosmic shift, we have our own levels to adapt to. But when they're man-made, they're different frequencies. They're going to have different symptoms that we're going to adapt to, and our bodies are going to adapt, the way we're designed to do at the level we're capable of doing.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so man-made EMF. What are some of the highest sources? Are they in all electronics? Do they have to have a satellite signal? Where does that come from in the biggest concentrations, or maybe some unexpected places?
Yeah, you bet. So we have 3 different main stressors that I have meters that we like to quantify. So anyone could go to the store, Casey, and buy a milligauss meter. That's going to measure electricity, like the stuff that's in your wall. All right, any light switch. Then you have dirty electricity, which would be sparking in the lines. Now these are they're measured in waveforms and speed of the wavelength, the speed of the waveform, basically, which a waveform is a wavelength. So the speed of electricity would be whatever, 0 to 80 or whatever, waves per second. You get into the 100,000 range when we're talking in the dirty electricity. So sparking a line could come from a dim switch on lights, solar panels on your roof. LED lights cause lots of dirty electricity. And then rats eating lines outside your home. If that signal going in one direction doesn't meet the signal going in the other direction to that junction, you're going to have lots of sparking in your line. And that could happen from a rat eating some of the line. And then you go into the third category. And before I go there, you would get a Stetzer electric meter from Dave Stetzer at Stetzer, Stetzer, electric.com. And $125 or so. You plug it in the wall. It tells you your levels. Anything 50, probably 100 below, or 50 below is ideal. 50 to 25 is the best. Not many people are there, but that's where they should be. But with dirty electricity, you'll see upwards of anywhere over 850 to 1200. And then you have the acoustometers, the radio frequency meters, the ones that measure the wireless communications from your cell phones, from your laptops, from your Nest AC units, from your Ring doorbell, from the Alexas and the self-driving apparatuses in your cars and Apple TVs, and the list goes on and on. Anything wireless, that would be measured in the next waveform, which is upwards in the million on up. Now those meters, they're not strong enough to meter 2.45 billion waves per second. So any acoustometer or RF meter can't even measure how strong your cell phone is. So when these companies say, hey, we're rolling out 5G, which is 60 to 90 billion waves per second, and our phones are 2.45 billion waves per second, how do we know they're 60 to 90? Like, how do we can't even measure these meters. There's no meter to meter that level. We're just relying just blindly on a company for profit saying, oh, they're not going to cook us today, or they're going to keep in this range. It's unbelievable. So you can quantify these, or we can, with meters up to a certain level.
Interesting. So where did they get that number? Is it just something they made up or tried to calculate or something?
In 1998, our government created procedural levels. If something was non-ionizing, it was okay because it did not create a thermal effect in the body. And then anything that created a thermal effect, like a microwave, which is a millimeter wave. A microwave oscillates the cells to warm up the temperature. That's what this EMF stuff does. And they created this procedural level at that time, but has technology increased since 1998? Yes, but the level still hasn't changed. And probably the biggest challenge with it, Casey, is Dr. Martin Pall out of Washington State University learned that the voltage-gated calcium channels, lets positive calcium into a negative cell. So that vibration of this EMF, no matter if it's ionizing or not, still causes tremendous excess calcium to enter a cell, which is what you don't want. And so we know that the science behind it shows our government's known way before 1998. And yet we're just basking in it. We're just increasing levels and putting earbuds in our inner ear that there's an airway canal directly to your brain. There's not even a skull in there, and you're having an antenna putting millimeter waves directly on your brain, localizing it. What we're doing to ourselves is slow cooking ourselves. And it's really challenging. So that's why these grounding bags are going to be a big help for everyone.
Justin, this is just absolutely horrifying. And I feel like I can almost feel it. Somebody sent me a pair of wireless headphones and I put them in and I can't quite explain it, but they don't feel right. Cooking might be a good way to say it. It feels like something isn't jiving, or there's a vibration or a buzz that's not like audible. Does that make sense?
Casey, this is a sound when you turn a meter on and you look at your cell phone, it looks quiet and it's black and whatever. It's so functional. The second you point a acoustimeter at it, this quiet device the meter starts screaming, reading those invisible waveforms. That's what our body hears. Not everyone can hear it. You're probably feeling more of the resonance, but the spectrum of the wave is different. So there's very few people that can hear it at that, but that's what animals hear. That's what plants are feeling. The bees, animals that use those vibrations, those lower vibrations, that it's very disruptive for them. So yeah, it's not way out of the realm for you, someone who has been a life of service for people and helping them become better, has a more in tune connection with your body and energy and can feel stuff at that heightened level. And that's a gift. And, what we're ultimately wanting people is to have the awareness of it. And so you start to understand that proximity for it. And there is 10% of the population, and I would arguably say a lot more, are EMF sensitive. We're just kind of ignoring it in a big way.
Wow, interesting. So in the intro, we talked about how you were training athletes, things like their smartwatches, the earbuds you just mentioned, cars, depending on what they were driving. It was starting to break down the athletes. I'm really curious to hear what were some of the manifestations you were seeing? Like what did that actually look like?
I had a total endurance athlete. This guy was just a machine. He would paddle to Catalina and back and just compete. He put a smartwatch on. His entire left arm went weak and he couldn't figure it out for months. And it was radiation on his arm. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, take your watch off. And all of a sudden, everything starts to rejuvenate again. There are simple things that we've seen, and all these watches, they've had tests on them, early on where the Fitbits, they came out, they were too strong. I've just was studying all this stuff. I can't put on those watches. I can't sit in a Tesla. I mean, I could, but I just feel intense pain from it. I can feel that radiation really, really strong. So I do lots of energy work, lots of breath work. I help people move energy and flush energy. I can feel energy clear in other people. So I've been blessed with an awareness level and gifts and sensitivities that a lot of others may not have. So we can quantify this stuff with muscle testing or meters, but I can easily feel it and then teach people to start to recognize what they're feeling. And hey, that warmth in your lap with that laptop right over your ovaries and testicles is probably not a great idea because the ovaries absorb 10 times the amount of radiation, sperm counts drop. So we're seeing these young athletes coming in, with challenges with that, wearing earbuds, their cognitive stuff goes. And probably this is probably the biggest thing that I could share is I had a colleague, all he would test are top athletes in blood all day long, top athletes. He got hired in the military to do special forces guys and train the elite. He threw in a variable, which he had no idea would affect anything, of guys driving electric cars. That variable was 18% lower testosterone across the board of young, healthy guys.
Wow.
So you guys, most people, I'm in Newport Beach, most of the guys driving a Tesla are definitely over 45 and taking testosterone, synthetically, bioavailable, whatever. They're balancing it out because they're driving these Teslas, getting chipped away, and in addition, their age is chipping them away. But they're not noticing that 20% because they're putting it back in their system. But again, with testosterone, you're looking at cognitive challenges, right? And then you go in blood sugar, cardiovascular stuff, mood, ED is probably one of the last things you're going to see. But these are cognitive challenges. They're some of the first things. And here they're rolling out, SoFi Stadium or whatever stadium with, all this millimeter. We're 5G stadium. Well, no wonder these pro athletes, man, make mistakes and unforced errors and turnovers. They're getting cooked. Their cognitive levels, they're only so resilient. So I just started recognizing this, understanding how different we are. We're benefit with scalar waves, which are unpolarized, which distribute equally in every direction. And this man-made stuff's one directional. So, and it causes a vibration effect. So I did my best to get these people to ground and recharge and sleep and help build their life force up. So they built their chi up so strong that it didn't affect their biofield and then didn't affect their performance.
Wow. It's just horrifying, dude. It's totally horrifying.
So wait, I don't want to freak everyone out. The one thing is, Casey, is the universe, God made us in a way that we can start to coexist with this stuff. So this is a big deal to be able to coexist with man-made EMF. And we're actually able to, through physics, convert a waveform from something that is a one-directional polarizing to something that is unpolarized. And that's what the universe does for us.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about some solutions. Let's learn what things you have learned along the way. I would love to talk about your products and what they do, and other practical tips of things that we can do. I'm curious too, on the Wi-Fi, we set up a kill switch on our Wi-Fi that turns off every single night, but I don't know if that's making a dent in anything. When I look at available Wi-Fi networks near me, there's 15 of them that light up the screen. Just because I'm killing mine doesn't mean it's running all over the neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure. And it's wild because when we test the Stetzer electric meter, you can turn your dim switch on and off and you'll see the levels go up, and you can do that in your neighbor's house and have the meter plugged in yours and you'll see it go up and down.
Wow.
So yes, we're all interconnected, but KCR doing something really fantastic, which I highly recommend, is to everyone go to this hardware store, it's $9 about for a timer. It shuts down your router at night. So it's not like someone's tapping you on your shoulder. Most people go in these twilight sleep when these routers reset. And so we wake up and then we don't get back into that deep sleep. And it's because our blood-brain barrier, we're being affected, and our brain tries to figure out what's pinging us all night long. And so we don't get that deep restorative sleep. So when we can convert a waveform with our grounding bags, then we can still keep the routers on, but I always prefer having them off. So before I get in the grounding bags, which are our main solution for EMF rocks, and what we'll do is we'll talk about proximity awareness. So say goodbye to your Tesla, say goodbye to your smartwatch, say goodbye to your wireless earbuds, say goodbye to your Alexas, hardwire your computers and fiber optics, faster, safer, more reliable, with minimal health challenges. You want to be able to do so many different fun things with your home. Make your home a safe home. Start dimming your lights, or actually go into candles or incandescent lights. Get rid of your LEDs, basic 101. And then next big, Josh Del Sol, one of my good friends, did a documentary movie called Take Back Your Power. Take Back Your Power talked about the smart meter challenge. Have you seen that one, Casey?
No, I haven't.
Oh, he foresaw everything that's going on right now. It's absolutely brilliant. So anyone could call their SDG&E and opt out of their smart meter. It's an extra fee to do it, but one time, like in Orange County, it's $75 one time and then $10 a month. So not a big deal. Opt out of it. That smart meter acts like a two-way router. So it checks when you're home, which is a huge privacy. It knows what you're using every second of the day and then pings it back to their substation. So every 7 to 15 seconds, there's a sporadic 2.45 billion waves per second going boom, boom, and your body's just like, what the heck is that? So convert that back to analog. Those are Foundation 101 EMF stuff. Definitely get blue light sunblock or blue light glasses for the lights, because when you guys are any screen time, your body, your circadian rhythm will think it is light out longer. So if you're going to bed at 11, 12 o'clock watching TV, you're really not getting to sleep till 3 a.m. So you don't get that deep sleep because your internal clock, circadian rhythm sees blue light for several hours after. And that's when it knows to go to sleep. And that's when it knows to wake up. So those are some 101 stuff. The bigs right now, I mean, for us, it's converting that waveform. How do we convert it so we can coexist with this man-made EMF? And so we hand mine crystals. So my company's emfrocks.com. And we offer these grounding bags and Faraday bags. So the grounding bags are hand mined crystals. Everyone knows of shungite and amethyst. They have magnetic properties to them. Ours have the magnetic properties, but they also have a moisture content in them. So if they're unsealed, they dry out really quickly. The combination between the moisture and magnetic is the differentiator. It's what makes these things kick off such an incredible healing medicinal resonance to help repel EMF, ground you, recharge you, and then all that helps convert that waveform so you get a deeper night's sleep.
Wow. How in the world do they do that? Like, you're not actually holding the rock itself, right? The crystal, excuse me.
I have to send you a care package, I know, and you will be able to feel it yourself because you guys are on the same page on everything. You'll absolutely love them. People are obsessed by them. You'll see anywhere from 3 to 50% deeper sleep from the studies. What they are, it's a Schumann resonance in a bag. It's a healing frequency of the planet in a bag, and no one's ever seen this pure quality that we have and deployed them in the way we have. So we recommend you keep them sealed, put one on or under your bed for a deepest night's sleep. 5 together will clear 2,000 square feet. And you need a pile in your car as well. One just in anyone's car. If you're driving an electric car, you need a handful of them as well. And the more together, the bigger frequency it emits off. So the bigger pile of crystals. So if you have solar in your home, our recommendation is to have 7 together on the floor of your home, in addition to having one on or under each bed.
Wow, so interesting. What are we talking as far as bag size? I know there's a lot of different size options on the website, but what are we talking generally in a standard bag?
They're about 1 pound hand mined crystals, and then that's the deep sleep grounding bag, full size. And then we have on-the-go protection, which is when you're walking around and there's a bunch of signals around you. The 5 together, the grounding bags will clear those, and then when one's on your bed, that'll clear a source directly. Then when you're out and about, we have a mini grounding bag. So it's good for a pocket, purse, or backpack for kids. And the mini is about 2 to 3 ounces of crystals inside. And you just carry it with you. So I put it in a pocket and I put my phone on the outside of it. Women will put it in their purse and put their phone on the outside of it. And that'll kick off a waveform to transform that waveform into something that's not one directional. So our body benefits from it and it doesn't weaken us.
Do the bags have, because they're sealed, do they last a a very long time? Is it kind of a time thing?
Yeah, they do. Good question. And this is probably one of our biggest selling points. The man-made devices attempting to keep up with man-made frequencies, it's a futile effort. We're looking at 50 times 5G right now. So if you're trying to make a man-made frequency to keep up with all this other man-made stuff, that's a futile effort. There's no way you can do it for very long or if at all. So the big thing with the ones with copper in is that and copper and crystal, like you don't know when those crystals burn out and when the copper starts imprinting the bad into you. You don't know when those stickers burn out. With ours, when the rocks turn to dust, that means they lost their form, they lose their function. It's time to buy a new bag, sprinkle the crystals in your garden, be the most mineral dense garden. That would be any time 2 years to more decades. I don't know how long. We've only had the company for a couple of years, but what I do know is when you keep them sealed and out of extreme heat, they will last for years.
Wow. That's so interesting. You also use a product called the Faraday Bag. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. This is probably one of the biggest things right now, and for our body. It started off as more of a device for protecting you from your phone. So Faraday Bags is a static bag, like aluminum bag. You put your phone in it. It protects you from your phone from electromagnetic pulse, anything that would wipe away your information, protects your information from getting stolen. Those are what standard, like military grade static bags are designed for. Now it's only 7 milliliters. So signals do go in and out of it. It's not an ironclad cage. I want people to really understand that. But it is really effective at dampening the effect. So if I had a meter and I point at the phone, the meter is going to meter out. I put it in the Faraday bag, point it at the phone inside the Faraday bag, sealed. It'll quiet to safe levels. So this is really important to understand. So that's what we started using it as. And now with everything going on, we're selling them in addition to stopping against contact tracing. So your location won't show up on the map. The thing is you need 2 Faraday bags. You need to put your phone and double it up and put it inside 2 Faraday bags, and then your location won't show up. These signals are so strong on these new phones, they're burning through that 7 ml really easily. The other, probably the biggest freedom, I know our health freedoms are at risk right now with mandates, but even more so than that, the data harvesting, Casey, that's going on right now is what I am more focused on, and for our freedom, for our future. What they're able to do now is access all your information from your fingerprint, your retina scan, your financial information, your social security number, your driver's license, bank accounts, your sleep cycles, your gait, how fast you drive. They have access to everything in your body right now. And these tracking, every app has anywhere from 1 to 12, not everyone, but almost all of them have trackers on them to track different levels or lists of things that they're looking at. And they're aggregating all this stuff and putting it into AI to, potentially, who knows what's going to happen. But I'm going to go big on this one and say China has gone on record just saying they want to take over the US in 15 years without shooting one bullet. The only way I can see that from happening is the way that we're going right now, is they have access to our cars, our TVs, our phones, our tablets, our computers, our cars. Every single thing technology is listening, and they're tracking our apps, our TikToks, our Instagrams, or what have you. They know everything about you, where you're going, what you voted on, who you voted for, and where you live, and all your banking information. So for me, the Faraday bag ends up being a huge privacy necessity to slow down the data harvesting, because when your phone's in there, they're not able to harvest it like they would normally. And our cell phone batteries, Casey, should last anywhere from up to 10 days. and they're not 2 hours. So that's how much data harvesting is going on. Our batteries are made to last that long, and they're only lasting a few hours. So that's how we know all this is going on.
Interesting. So what times of day do you use the Faraday bags with your phone? Is it when you're traveling? Is it when you're just sleeping? Is it all day, every day? I mean, there's got to be some point where you got to see if somebody sent you a crazy cat video or something.
Yeah, so the phone may or may not ring in it. And so sometimes text message doesn't show up on it. It'll show up on my computer and then I'll know to check it or something. When it's next to me, like right now, it's in the Faraday bag. So it's not hearing what I'm saying. It's not learning. It's not running. The battery's not juicing out. People can use it at night if they need to have their phone next to their bed. And the phone most likely will ring, so you'll get that call. The alarm definitely will go off when it's in it. So you can use it whenever you want to quiet that noise. If you're sitting there and you're like, hey, I just don't want a router on right next to me, but yet I need my phone accessible, throw it in the Faraday bag. And so it's great in so many different scenarios.
Interesting. I was going to ask you about the phone by the bed. I was going to ask you if that was true. And then the difference between, putting it on a do not disturb mode versus airplane mode versus turning it off. Does that make a significant difference one way or the other?
Yeah, definitely. And the proximity to it is so if it's just next to you and it's on, you have your cellular, your wireless, you have the Bluetooth, you have all these different modes going on, and so each of those has their own level of about 2.45 billion waves per second. So if those are on and the phone's next to you, it's screaming. And then so turn your Bluetooth off, turn your cellular off if you're not using it, and then only use wireless. A lot of the Android phones you can only use the Wi-Fi and still communicate through an app called Signal, and that'll be way less of a stressor on your body. And then when they're on airplane mode, it's absolutely silent unless the phone's right on you. Then you have the battery of the phone creating that vibration. So definitely from airplane mode to not airplane mode to lesser modes, it's significant throughout. So people that still want to track, they're addicted to their Teslas, we'll get a bunch of grounding bags and you're good to go. If they're addicted to their smartwatch, well, put it on airplane mode and wear your smartwatch. And then you're not as likely to see as many of the effects. And when you want to track your stuff, use it as a marker, see where you start. And then 3-4 months later, when we periodize and go through our cycles of training, check where you're at the end of it. And that's how we want to use this technology, not the technology to predict injuries. So I interviewed Gary Vitti, the former Laker guy. He rolled out this whole technology to predict injuries in the Lakers players. And I'm just sitting there going, holy crap, like this isn't a great idea at all. And because you're stressing them out every time you're testing them and you're weakening them. So I can muscle test any pro athlete, and I do all day long, and they all go weak when they hold the phone in their hand. And so how are they going to do any different when they're have markers and measures all over their body? So for athletes, it's a big thing to clear these stressors out. And I would love to connect with these companies and put the grounding bags in these stadiums. And so we start to create environments where we're converting that waveform to something that's healthy. You're going to see less injuries. You're going to see less blowouts. You're going to see concussions heal faster. So NCAA protocol, no blue light, no screen time. That's EMF is a challenge for the brain. I mean, I treat concussions. That's 101 for concussion treatment is get rid of EMF because it's a stressor on your blood-brain barrier. So when we can convert this waveform, it's not going to stress the brain. You're going to be able to start to heal a lot quicker.
I see.
And perform optimal.
I see. Interesting. You talk quite a bit about grounding and earthing as well. Can you educate us about what those two things are and how that can also help?
Yeah, they're interchangeable terms, I think, in a lot of ways. again, pulling the earth has a negative ionic charge. It pulls up through your body and you pull electrons from that. And that's what recharges us. So Clint Ober wrote an incredible book called Earthing and has lots of studies showing it. You can just touch a tree and connect to the energy of the tree, and that'll help ground out your own energy. I mean, it's beautiful the way nature, Mother Nature is created, and it helps us to get grounded and leveled. Now, I surf a lot, so I'm in Newport Beach, and I'm in the water all the time. Man, it's so important. Tom Cowan talked about it on a podcast that I did with him, where he said one of his patients actually was an electrician, and he was a big surfer too. And not until he broke an arm and got a huge rod in his arm did the EMF start to bother him, because he was grounding every day from the water. So we can pull a lot from the water. We can pull a lot from walking barefoot, sand, grass, dirt, where have you. You can just touch a tree and ground, just picnic out in the park and sit on a blanket and get grounded. But you're pulling these frequencies, this healing pulse of the earth, which changes in different seasons from the earth. But the science behind it is just look up Schumann resonance, and you'll have a deeper understanding of it, and how we really, again, rev at a similar speed, low and slow vibration to that. And it's so medicinal for us.
Wow. Isn't it true in so many different ways, like going back to what we've always done and how we've evolved, and we just, like, as humans, invent so much technology, which is amazing and got us to where we are today. But like, so many of the solutions were just things that we were doing before. Get out in the sunlight, expose your eyeballs to sunlight, be outside during the day, keep lights down at night. Like, we walk around with these giant, foot coffin pillows on our feet, and we never get outside. It's always 72 degrees. The light can be on 24 hours a day. It's just, it doesn't sound like there's any one particular like solution that is so black and white. It's just like all of these are little tips and tricks that will help keep you going in the right direction.
Definitely. I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about. It's Boundless Body Radio. I mean, we want you to be boundless, and it's not just one thing. Grounding, earthing is one component of a healthy body and a happy body and longevity and being boundless. Like, you can't be boundless without deep sleep and good restorative sleep. You can't have it without the right fuel sources to get your energy systems on go. I mean, so all these things are intertwined, and I mean, I'm so passionate about it, and I could hear it and feel it in you, Casey, as well. It's like, this is just in your DNA to help people and raise that consciousness up to make it. It's not rocket science, you guys. It's just a lot of little things that make a ton of sense when you start to understand the true science behind biology and way where, like, health is not a shot or a drug or a vaccine. It's not covering your face with less oxygen. It's not. It is loving, touching, smiling, being together, grounding, earthing, living for life, and really just feeding your body and soul with pure food from Mother Earth and these minerals from it. And that's what it's all about. And so, again, our products can help get you to recharge your body. I think one of the biggest things, people that are stuck and they're not optimal, or they're just not feeling at their top of their game, they're getting decharged from EMF. So the cool thing too, in addition, Casey, is the grounding bags can help you recharge your body. So your eyes, your teeth, your thymus, and your small intestines, those are the areas that get hit the hardest from all this stuff. So all you do is take a grounding bag, put one on your lap, tap on it with one hand, and then the other hand, use an applied kinesiology technique where you cover your eyes and then your teeth, then thymus, which is your upper neck or lower neck, upper chest area, one at a time for like 20 seconds. Just tap on the bag. That'll direct that frequency of the earth directly to those areas, and it'll 10x your energy right away. And so it's really cool stuff.
Wow, that sounds absolutely amazing. I must try that. Mentioning your products, you don't sell a million different things. When I go to your website, there are a few things, and I can tell that somebody is really choosy about what products they want to promote or maybe sell, especially if they cross like complete different industries. Like if somebody's doing supplements, I wouldn't expect them to also make, fitness equipment or whatever. And I'm just curious to know why MCT oil happens to be one of the few things that you sell. I love it.
Oh man. So to back it up a little again, I have two websites. So emfrocks.com only has Faraday bags and grounding bags. Now athleticism.com is your curated products for health and performance. So I have an array of different products, from a jump band, which is the best jump rope you've ever seen.
That looks so fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. We'll include that. And then the lean oil, but MCT oil is medium chain triglyceride. So you guys, we need to understand how our body works. Again, dive a little deeper. What are fats? Those are triglycerides. Well, the medium chains ones are the ones our body absorbs a lot more efficiently. It's like burning a fire with paper or a log. Paper would equate to sugar as your fuel source. MCT, medium chain triglyceride, our lean oil would equate to burning your body with a slow burning log. So you have sustained energy that doesn't spike your insulin and crash you. Your cognitive levels, don't go up and down. They stay at a consistent level for high level performance. You have this just proper nutrition. So I've really curated a bunch of products out there. Everyone's using coconut oil. I'm bringing in palm kernel to the market. It's 10x better than coconut oil. So all the other oils out there, you're going to see the lean oil really help you get ripped, buffer your insulin. It'll suppress your appetite. You're not literally hungry at all until 4:00 or 4:30 in the afternoon. I deploy it in really unique ways. So I haven't really fully put on some of the new protocols, but there's a pooling protocol. You put it in your mouth, just 1 teaspoon in the morning, night, let it slow drip, absorb through your saliva or salivary glands. Huh. There's a protocol where you can rub it over your spleen or any of the organs. So people that don't assimilate the fats that well, you put it on your skin and your organs will buffer it for you versus your gallbladder taking on the load for all these keto guys that burn their gallbladder out and their bile out. So there's different ways that we can start to utilize these amazing fats in plant medicine and plant oils in your body and on your body. And so that's what athleticism.com is for, is his curated products.
I see. Gotcha. With you working, with athletes, and you've mentioned concussions and, mental health, has the MCT product given a ton of benefit in that field? I'm just really curious.
Yeah, we recently had a 3 concussion top 10 athlete in the world, and currently, and she was better in 5 months from her concussions. And it's a lot of it is nutrition and your brain. There's so many, it's so much fat tissues in your brain. So we need to feed the body. The cells are 50% fat, so we start to fuel the body optimally with the right fat, the right kind of fat, and then your body starts to thrive and heal, and not only heal, but it'll help prevent other challenges from coming in because it has those buffers in it. So yeah, it's been amazingly effective for our clients.
That's phenomenal. Well, we'll make sure to link to both of your websites in our show notes. I do have to agree with you fully. Like when I take MCT oil, it's about 10, 15 minutes that I just feel like somebody switched on a light switch. My brain is turned on. It's not on fire. It's not jumping around everywhere, but it's just like I'm ready to go. And I can definitely concur with the appetite suppression. You just will not be hungry for hours and hours. You can go be very productive, do whatever you like. You can be active with exercise, and it's easier to burn fat during exercise. I just think it's a wonderful product. I'm so interested to try yours from palm. I don't think I've ever had it from palm. You're right. Most of the ones you see out there are from coconut. Very interesting. Before we let you go, I did want to ask you a little bit about breath work. We love talking about breath work. What have you found to be the most helpful and practical way that somebody can start a breathwork practice?
Oh man, well, I have 3 parts to my book: athleticism, whole body plus whole brain equals performance. So I talk about several different people: Brian McKenzie, Wim Hof, obviously, Troy Casey, who's one of my favorites. Troy's probably the easiest guy because he's like, all right, let's just effing breathe. And then all of a sudden, you just start breathing. So he doesn't even make it into much of a science. Like, it doesn't have to be so complicated. Just start breathing. And that's why I love listening to him. They call him a certified health nut. And so he has a really simple approach. It's to just breathe, and it's just to start to breathe. But we can dive into that topic. There's so many different types of breath works and breathing, for bracing, for filling your lungs up, for fighting, for posturing, for holding your breath to get the nitric oxide levels, because you're not lacking oxygen. It's just buffering the nitric oxide. So there's ways to start to trick your body and into doing it and getting these just bottomless breaths. But your breath is your life force. It's your chi. You're breathing that in. That is your gateway to above, and that is your everything for health. So I would encourage everyone to really start taking deep breaths, and you could do it in through your nose, and out through your nose. When you get really advanced, do what's ever comfortable. Just start taking breaths and get deeper and deeper. Hold after you take 10 deep breaths, hold it for 5 seconds, then 10 seconds, and then do that a few times over. You'll start to see your thresholds go up. As a surfer, I do lots of pool training and water training and breath work. So I can hold my breath when I surf bigger waves, which I do. So you want to be able to control that breath and control it under stress. So, but for guys that aren't as big of a weekend warrior athlete as me, you're just gonna feel so much better, and everything will optimize, because the one reason that we get older is because the levels of oxygen that we're going to be able to take in start to slow down. So your breath work is probably the most important practice that I would recommend everyone to do.
Man, I love that. And thank you so much for making that so practical. And just breathe. Like, just start there. It doesn't have to be done in any particular way, but just make sure that you do it. Justin, this has been an incredible conversation. I have certainly learned a lot and gotten to ask you a lot of questions that I have been curious about. Wondering if you had one simple tip that you would like to leave with a listener that they can walk away from this conversation with. What would that be?
Yeah, get grounded by nature. So get out there, get barefoot. Breathe, connect to the Schumann resonance, connect to the healing pulse of the earth through touching a tree or being barefoot. Just get grounded by nature. Obviously, you can do it through our grounding bags, a portable way when you can't get outside or if it's too cold or what have you. But the essence of even the intent of rooting and getting grounded into the earth, and you're a big, strong tree, and with the deeper roots, the deeper the roots go, and the more the wind blows, the stronger and more resilient and more you ebb and flow. Like, just the essence of what grounding is. Go there, do that practice every day.
Love it. What a great way to end the show. Justin Frandson, where would you like people to go to connect with you and find your work?
Oh, thanks, Casey. EMFrocks.com, EMFrocks.com, athleticism.com. It's spelled athletic, ISM.com for those that can't spell well. So those are the two sites you can find me. We're doing huge podcasts. We're at Bulletproof Conference in Orlando, Florida, the week of September 20th. And we are on some big podcasts like this one. So keep researching and finding, learning more about this topic. Look up Tom Cowan and some big docs out there that are sharing this information. You guys really start to understand the frequency of the earth and our electromagnetic universe, and you will see boundless energy in your body just transform.
That's amazing. We will be sure to link to all of that in the show notes, and I owe you $20 for every time you use the word boundless on our show. I will Venmo you right away. Justin Frandson, thank you so much for everything that you do and your energy and passion and your desire to share this message with others. I think it's a really important message. I think you're right. Probably a lot more research needs to be done with it by us, but we really appreciate you putting the message out there and sharing your message with us today. It was really an honor and a pleasure to talk with you.
Oh, such an honor, Casey. Thank you. Thank your beautiful wife, Bethany, as well. You guys are so fantastic doing what you're doing. So huge props and so much gratitude to you as well.
Well, thank you very much. That really means a lot. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.